So now we're in the Q&A section of Art and Healing number 7 with Emilie Lygren. Does anyone have any questions for Emilie?
I'm curious how you started working with not so much the writing poetry, but how you started working with sharing it and facilitating this kind of workshop and doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, thanks so much for that question. I've been an educator for a long time, and I was an outdoor educator for many years, and my job was hiking with students and teaching science. So that was something that I did a lot, and I kind of dabbled in teaching poetry during that time of my life, but I felt like I got a lot of experience teaching. And so then once I was doing kind of like full-time science writing, which I really enjoyed and was developing science curriculum, but I had this feeling of like, oh, I keep saying I'm going to try to do more poetry in my life, and I could start to see how later could easily turn into never. So I started to make a little more room for my poetry, and one thing that kind of came along with it was wanting to just talk to people about poetry, and I find I write some of my best things, the things I like best, in classes with the support of other people and kind of like in a community. So I decided to kind of just start really small. Like I had to psych myself up to be like, okay, I'm gonna teach a class at the library. Okay, I'm gonna teach a class at the library. Like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna write to them and ask. And yeah, and then I found that um, it felt really joyful, and I learned a lot from watching Naomi, who I mentioned earlier, teach. And she talked a lot about just the value of bringing in a bunch of different poems for people to read, and just giving people time to read something and then reflect and read something and reflect. So it's become something that I really enjoy, and brings me a lot in my life.
Do you ever combine the science teaching and poetry?
Yeah,
It
that's my
seems like
fave.
there's a lot about
Yeah. Uh-huh.
observation in both.
Yeah, that's my happy place, is kind of where those two things
Oh,
intersect. The observation of place and kind of like using observational skills as a scientist and as a poet feel very interrelated to me. They're both
mhm,
kinds of deep presence.
mhm. That's what I grew up with, so I can relate to that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
Emilie, are those poems you're working on the board behind you?
Oh yeah, so that's my chalkboard wall. I'll show it to you all. It's magnetic chalkboard. So I painted magnetic primer beneath the chalkboard paint, and then made chalkboard paint because I like to be able to put things out and kind of look at them. That's a book project that's actually inspired by the Chrysalis poem I read, and it's an anthology of poems all about mental health and healing, for teens and young adults. So all those poems are by a range of different authors. And I'm in the phase of that book project where I'm trying to figure out what order I want to put them in. And that's when I put everything up on the chalkboard wall so I can kind of see like, oh, this poem wants to be here, this poem wants to be there.
That's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I love it. It's really fun.
So are those, it's little magnets then that hold it up?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it took like 5 coats of primer though. It takes a lot to be able to kind of have the magnets be able to go through the chalkboard paint.
And it's called magnetic primer.
Yeah. And a lot of hardware stores will turn any color of paint for you into chalkboard paint. They add kind of like a thickening agent. You can also do it at home with unsanded tile grout. you can mix that into paint and then paint it onto the wall, and it turns into a chalkboard texture that you can write on.
Okay.
Yeah, this purple back here is a chalkboard wall. I just have a thing here so that when I'm doing Zoom, nobody has to read my to-do list. But yeah,
It's amazing. Nice.
Okay, so you have one, it's a wall with the chalkboard and then the magnetic, what's the magnetic part of it?
The magnetic paint was a primer. So like when you paint a wall of a house, you put primer down first and it gets
Oh,
like the
right.
paint ready. And you can buy primer that is magnetic. So you like paint a
Okay.
bunch of coats on it and it's magnetic underneath the chalkboard paint.
Okay, so then the final coat is chalkboard. So it's two different things, really.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I was confused, but now I understand. That's great. I have some chalkboard paint that I've never put on my wall. I might have to look for the magnetic one.
Mhm. Any final questions before we close for the day?
I'm just curious to hear, Emilie, how, yeah, how your own poetry practice supports the way you navigate life.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking with Kamala about this a little bit, where like my poetry practice is pretty sporadic. Like I've tried to be the kind of writer where I write every day. And sometimes I do just jot down a couple things every day, but I've learned that I'm a lot more like I go through spurts, so I won't write anything for a week, especially if I'm really busy with logistics, and then I'll write 4 poems in a day. Um, so I think that's helped me kind of like live my life in the sense of giving myself permission to be me and not trying to, like fit my creative process into someone else's idea of what it means, and also to be gentle with myself. Sandy, I loved your, yeah, gentle, gentle. Um, and just to kind of like trust that there will be words and there'll be more and they'll come and they'll show up, and not kind of worry if I'm struggling in a moment. Kind of like, yeah, trusting myself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that about letting it be your process, as opposed to all the shoulds of you should write for 20 minutes a day, you should paint for, because that doesn't always work for me either. And then it just ends up making me feel bad that I didn't do the thing I said I was going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I've tried for a long time, and it's just not my way, and that's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we want to give appreciation to everyone for coming, and thank you to Emilie for this really inspiring presentation. This recording is going to be archived on the WEED website, and WEED's vision is to continue. Our global mission is to support a network of women artists that are working in ecology. So we do encourage you to, if you're not a member already, to check us out. I'll put the URL in the chat. And even if you don't become a member, just know that we have regular presentations by our members, and they're always very inspiring and can help your artistic practice come to life, and give you insight into others' artistic practices. So thank you all for coming. And yeah, unless there are any other questions, I think we'll bid you adieu.
Yeah, thank you all so much for your time. It was lovely to spend time with you. I often like to close Zooms with each person just sharing one word. Could be like a word of how you're feeling right now. It could be a word that you just want to carry with you in the next couple days. Any word that just feels like a word you want to speak.
Peace.
Relieved. God, sorry.
No, it's okay. We had peace, relieved,
Light.
calm.
Yeah.
Dragonflies.
Choir.
Gosh, I think you're the last one.
Oh, light.
Okay, thanks everybody. Bye, and please stay in touch. I'd love to write with you again. So nice to see you.
Thank you so much. This
Bye.
was really wonderful. Have
Yeah.
a beautiful night, y'all.
Thanks. Yeah, take care.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Good night.
Emily.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, so
Thanks,
good to see
Cindy.
you, Sandy. Take care. Really fun
Bye.
to have you in class.